Excuse me, everyone. That is not the end of it. Nicola Doyle is now taking the floor. It's very unusual for a bridesmaid to do a speech. And she's sober. She's, well, ish. You right? Yeah. What is the time? 7, and you're not drunk. Right, amazing. Right, here we go. Nicola Doyle, everyone.
Shit, well, that, eh? So, we're a little bit untraditional, as the Hindu crew found out, so that's why I'm doing a speech today. So, I'll begin. On a blistering hot summer's day, Lou, Steph and I were lazing around in Jill and Gav's garden when Steph stalked me like prey all afternoon, sneaking a peek over my shoulder so that she could steal the password to my phone and hack it. Yeah. So there's an underlying theme of this speech, and it's called payback. So I see some of you smiling at the fact that she's hacked my phone, and I bet you're thinking, she's never done that to me before. Trust me, she has read your text messages, she has read your emails, she knows what your last Amazon order was, and she probably knows what wedding gift you bought her. So, I can see a few sort of grandparents dotted around the room. Firstly, I'll try not to swear too much. And secondly, I won't talk about how your grandchildren have had sex before marriage. But unfortunately, Gav knows all too well. How many times have you walked in on them? Too many, he says, too many. But, yeah, you know what the thing is, knowing Steph, you know it means we've all heard about your indoor naked antics as well. So you'll see here that Ben and I are on the same lines. So we'll go back to where it all began on day 1 of secondary school, and Steph was the last to walk into our form group. Unfortunately, the only spare seat was next to me, so she reluctantly made her way over and sat down. Unbeknown to each of us, we had just made friends for life, and some of the stories that follow show why. Time in classes we had spent together meant I slowly began to recognise her traits, her habits, and even her diet. It really is a wonder how she survived 5 years on a concoction of chewing gum and Nurofen. She would raise her hand to her mouth, take out her chewing gum, carefully stick it on the underneath of the desk before popping into Nurofen for her growing pains. Something that was completely baffling was how Steph went against all scientific reasoning to have her period like clockwork every week for 5 years. What's more astonishing is that it happened to be at exactly the same time we had PE. That's coming up. But the funny thing is, Tina, you would handwrite her a note every week to explain why she wasn't participating. Here we go. Steph and Lou's connection began at sports day. It was mostly due to the absence of sports bras. Imagine the scene, the 2012 Olympics, the 100-metre lineup, the audience have gathered, the excitement is building, and tension is in the air. Unfortunately, it was nothing like this. It was much more on a par with the Paralympics, as Steph finished second to last, only beating the 14-stone 12-year-old in our year. When it was time to get part-time jobs, you could say that is when Steph's diet changed. We all did a stint in the Fleet Estate fish shop for 2 hours. Thanks, Ali. Us a whopping £6. And we needed to get saving for our first ever girls' holiday. This is when Steph took a liking to Savaloys. She would not only cook them in the grimy, grease-ridden kitchen out the back, but she would often shovel one and sometimes two into the front of her dirty apron, so she could sneak them out for a bite when the boss wasn't looking. This diet led to the infamous photo entitled "With Child." If you haven't seen it, it's a corker. It was at this point that Lou knew he had a project on his hands, and only after 10 years did his work pay off, because I know you'll all agree she looks beautiful today. Steph and Lou found their calling early on in life, which was evident when we arrived in France for a school trip. Essentially, we were doing the French exchange without the exchange, which meant we were all winners. Steph worked in a fashion retail outlet and Lou worked in the Citroen garage, and somehow I ended up sorting out rotten tomatoes in the supermarket. As we set off with our respective families for the week, I thought I would have it hard as I didn't speak a word of French. In fact, it turns out I might not have been worse off. After being forced to spend the whole day with our families, only then did we realise that Lou had actually been paired with a paedophile for the week. As he recited stories to us of how the single old man had thrown a pair of Speedos at him so he could take him to the local swimming bath. And of course Lou obliged, and he even picked up the man's rusty razor that was stuck to the edge of the bath and did some landscaping. Thank you to Tina for letting Steph come to Ibiza at the tender age of 16. We really did have the best time, and there was absolutely no need to worry about us on this trip because we mostly sipped orange Bacardi Breezer and danced around to Dolly Parton's 9 to 5. It was our later holidays that should have caused more worry, and something that springs to mind is when Steph walked teeth first into a floor-to-ceiling glass door because she didn't see it. After a few moments, when we realised not all of her teeth were going to fall out immediately, we carried on and made our way to the dance floor. We progressed when we all went to Ayia Napa. However, there was definitely a lot more orange Bacardi Breezes involved this time round. One particular evening, we had spent 2 hours getting ready, left the apartment and immediately wilted in the evening heat. After a few bars, we hit the nightclub. The music was blaring, drinks were flowing, you know how it goes. On this particular evening, though, it was a lot like the scene from Only Fools and Horses when Del and Trigger are at the bar. 1 minute I'm looking at Steph, I turn around for a second, and the next minute she's gone. There she was, in a pile on the floor. So straight away I pick her up and someone helped me carry her out. I sit her on the pavement, get her a fresh bottle of water, I turn my head for a moment, and then all of a sudden I feel a warm, wet sensation between my toes. She only yacked up on my most expensive flip-flops, and they were £17 then. The time soon came when Lou would choose the most beautiful engagement ring, which only meant one thing, the all-important hen do. They are the 21-strong squad that made their way to Marbella for the weekend. Unfortunately, we've all signed a non-disclosure, so I can't say anything more about it. Whether it's Steph's love of father of the bride, her hate of frogs, her loathe of clumps of hair, her favourite pastime of shopping for clothes and shoes, her incredible ability to get away without actually doing anything. I wrote this months ago and I was only proved right yesterday. Her competitiveness, the roast dinners that she's forced most of us into making at one time or another, or even Lou's obsession with Zac Efron. These two are my best friends and I wouldn't change them for the world. One final thought, and of course we wasn't going to get through this without a mention. Steph is happy enough to plough through and kill part of a family of ducks in Southfleet. But she preserves the life of the twig in the New Forest only to sacrifice herself. Maybe stay off the bikes for a while. toast to Mr. and Mrs. Young.